So please be seated. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And welcome to the 22nd Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band Burn Supper. That's 22 years in a row. It's been a sellout, so thank you very much. So, just out of curiosity, how many people here have been here for all 22? If you have, stand up, and if you're in the pipe band, it doesn't count. How many have been here for 10 or more? Oh yeah, quite a few of you. Anyhow, this is, yes, round of applause, because this is the largest fundraiser for the police pipe band, pays for all the bills that the pipe band goes through during the year for instruments and maintenance equipment and trips, etc. So we really appreciate your being here tonight and supporting the band. My name's Jim Maxwell, and it's my pleasure to be your MC here tonight. The pipe band respectfully acknowledge our event is taking place within the ancestral, traditional, and unceded territories of the Wasanic people. Who would have thought that we'd be having a Robbie Burns 260 plus years after his death? But around the world, thousands of these events are going. And I'm really pleased to say that the pipe band is hosting another one. You're all here, and this is one of the largest burn suppers in North America. You've already applauded, but I'd like to thank Piper Heather McFarland, who performed the Piper Call to Supper. And would you please rise now, and I'd ask Doug Thorstenson to come up to sing O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Doug. We have a full schedule of entertainment tonight. You have a program in front of you. And one of the highlights is the address to the haggis. So I'd like to now call your attention to the south side of the hall. And under the direction of Pipers Shelley Thorstenson and Chelsea Patrick, the haggis party will be proceeding to the stage where drummer Gordon McGee will present the address to the haggis.
Okay. Right. I'd like to try something a wee bit different this time. I'm looking for a wee bit of audience participation. So my plan is, at the very end of this address, I'd like everyone, if they could, to say, Gira haggis. Okay, perfect. So the sign is going to be this, and then I'd like everyone to go, Gira haggis, at the very end, okay? Can we try that? There's the sign. Gira haggis. Magic. Right. Truth be told, that little bit there was just a ruse so I could get used to the Scottish accent again, because it's been a wee while since I lived there. It's no as if there's a wee, switch in the back of my head that I can just turn off, and now I'm talking like I normally do, and I can just turn it back on, and then I'm right back into it. Right, so without further ado, fair for your honest, sunsy face, great chieftain o' the puddin' race, abin them all you tak your place, pech tripe a therum, weel are you worthy o' a grace, as long as my erum. The groaning trencher there you fill, your hardies, like a distant hill, your pin would help to mend a mill in time o' need, while through your pores the juice distilled like amber beat. His knife, Sir rustic labour dight, cuts you up with a ready slight, trenching your gushing entrails, bricht like ony dish, and oh ho ho ho! What a glorious sight! Warm, reeking, rich. Then horn for horn they stretch and strive, deal tack the hinmost on they drive, till all their wheel-swalled kites belive are bent like drums, and all goodmen maist like to ride, bethink it hums. Is there that o'er his French ragout, or olio would stow a sou, or fricassee would macker spew in perfect scunner, looks doon with sneer and scornful view in such a dinner? Poor devil! See him o'er his trash, as feckless as a withered rash, his spindle shank a good whip lash, his neve a net, through bloody flood or field to dash. Oh, how unfit! Yet mark the rustic haggis fed, the trembling earth resounds his tread. Clap in as well he nave a blade, he'll make it whistle. And arms, and legs, and heads'll sned like tops of thistle. Ye powers what mak mankind your care and dish them out their bill of fare. All Scotia wants nae skinking ware that jumps and luggies. But if ye wish it a grateful prayer, here a haggis! Thank you so much.
How about a big round of applause for our haggis party? Drummer Gordon McGee. So it's now time to eat, and I'd like to ask Drum Major Randy Evans to give the Selkirk grace.
Just a little history first before we get into the prayer. So this is our tradition to do Selkirk grace, which was said to be Robbie Burns' favorite prayer. The prayer was known 100 years before it became famous. It was called the Galloway grace. It's now called the Selkirk grace because Robbie Burns actually did that in 1794. He gave that prayer with his modifications at the Selkirk Castle. So the Bear's rendition of this prayer is: some hay meat but cannot eat. Some would eat and want it. But we have meat and we can eat. So let the Lord be thankful. That's it. Thank you. Enjoy your dinner.
So you've seen in your program the list of formal Burns toasts and addresses that we will now proceed with, and then the pipe band and the Highland dancing and those musical entertainment will commence. So I'd like now to ask Drum Major Randy Evans to give the loyal toast to the King.
Hello, I'm back. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor tonight to give the loyal toast. And again, like I did with the prayer, a little bit of history. King George III, now 76 years old, acceded to the crown on September 8th, 2022. He is 62nd British monarch to serve over the last 1,200 years, and he is the 40th monarch to be crowned at London's Westminster Abbey in the past 900 years. King Charles served in the Royal Navy, where he flew helicopters, and he was commander of a minesweeper. He is sovereign of 14 Commonwealth countries, or realms, in addition to the UK, and is also head of 53 Commonwealth nations. His full title is, this is tough on mailing, His Majesty Charles III, by the grace of God of the United Kingdom, Canada, and its other realms and territories, King, Head of the Commonwealth, Defender of the Faith. So if you're able to stand, if you please stand to help me toast His Majesty. I don't have a... Ladies and gentlemen, the King. Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you, Drum Major. So it's now time to discuss the reason for coming together here tonight. Robbie Burns was born over 250 years ago in southwest Scotland. He's known throughout the world, and he's celebrated throughout the world for over 250 years. I'm pleased to invite Dr. Ken Wilson to give the immortal memory and pay tribute to the man. Dr. Ken has a real long history in Victoria dealing with Scottish Celtic culture, but he was born and educated in Edinburgh. He is a doctor. He has a whole list of things that he's done. A very successful man. It's in your program. I know him personally from when we were building the new Scottish Centre in View Royal. He was a big part of that. He's supported the youth pipe band, which you may or may not have heard of if you're at the games. It's a youth pipe band just started recently, and several members of the Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band are instructors in that band, and they will be competing in our 162nd games. But Ken's been a big supporter of that youth band, and we really appreciate him. So he's honored to deliver the immortal memory tonight. So I introduce Dr. Ken Wilson.
That's a bit. Thank you, Jim, for these very kind words. You can see my CV in a shortened form on the back page of the program. For those that are interested, I'm retired now, so it's all in the rear view mirror. Anyway, thank you very much for giving me the honour of delivering this year's Immortal Memory Address. The inspiration for my address comes mainly from a play about the life of Robert Burns. In the early 1970s, I saw the Scottish actor John Kearney perform in a show called There Was a Man, which was an incredible solo biographical performance. I've borrowed some of his first-person account to bring Burns' story to life. The whole performance is available on YouTube, and I encourage those who are interested to take a look at that. It's called There Was a Man, and the actor is John Kearney. It's really good fun. It's only recently, when I've been researching Robert Burns in his life, that I found out that the song Scots Wha Hae was the original Scottish national anthem, stemming back to the 14th century with the music, and Burns subsequently composed the verse. The song is how Burns thought King Robert the Bruce would have addressed his troops before their famous victory over the English at the Battle of Bannockburn in the year of 1314. It was a poem of Scottish patriotism, even rebellion against the English, who were led by King Edward. The song goes like this: Scots were hae where Wallace bled, Scots whom Bruce has often led, welcome to your gory bed, or to victory. Now's the day and now's the hour, see the front o' battle lower, see approach proud Edward's power, chains and slavery. The current informal Scottish national anthem, with which I expect many of you are familiar, is called Flower of Scotland. This also makes reference to proud Edward's army, although currently there's a move afoot to make peace with the English at long last by removing this reference. So we're basically being invited to bury the hatchet with the English in this century. As Jim mentioned, Burns was born 266 years ago in a wee two-roomed cottage, clay-built with a thatched roof on the River Doon, close to Ayr in Scotland, January 25th, 1759. The village is Alloway, and it's close to the British Open golf venues of Troon and Turnberry, and also the Turnberry Hotel, which is now owned by, guess who? Donald Trump. Boo! Born to Father William Burns, a poor tenant farmer, and Mother Agnes Brown, Robert was the eldest of 7 children. In 1759, Scotland was just recovering from the slaughter of Jacobite troops by the English army at Culloden Moor near Inverness in 1746, thus ending Prince Charles Edward, i.e. Bonnie Prince Charlie's, claim to the English throne. There's a fun fact here, and that is that Robert Burns lived in almost the same time frame as Mozart, who was born 3 years before and died 5 years before Burns. They had an incredible commonality of a massive legacy of compositions, one musical and one poetry and verse. Robert's father was a man of upright character and superior knowledge, who struggled hard to maintain a reasonable subsistence for his family and to educate them. Burns wrote, "My father was a farmer upon the Carrick border, and carefully he bred me in decency and order. He bade me act a manly part, though I had never a farthing, for without an honest manly heart, no man was worth regarding." Burns' early life was one of toil and drudgery. The wolf was always at the door, and although the family learned to be very thrifty, poverty, hard labour and anxiety continually pervaded his family life. At age 25, Burns wrote his first song. It was called Handsome Nell, as a tribute to his friend Nellie Kilpatrick, with whom he partnered, in both senses, at harvest time. The first verse of her poem, "Oh, once I loved a bonny lass, aye, and I love her still. And while that virtue warms my heart, I love my handsome Nell." Burns wrote, "The words were silly, but they were mine, and I was just 16, feeling all a boy feels at that age, all the tenderness in him, all the frustrated passion in the blood, all the hopelessness of trying to put that miserable joy into words. Feelings I have even now as I remember Nellie Kilpatrick in the harvest field and the dizziness of being in love. I didn't know why my heart beat so whenever I held her hand to pull out a nettle sting, or why I liked to linger with her on the way home, but thus it was, and quite unwittingly, I was initiated into that certain delicious passion I hold to be our dearest treasure here below." He went on to write at age 30, "I can affirm, both from bachelor and wedlock experience, that love is the alpha and omega of human enjoyment." Think about that. All the pleasures, all the happiness of my humble compeers flow immediately from this delicious source. Love is the spark of celestial fire, which lights up the wintry hut of poverty and makes the cheerless mansion warm, comfortable, and gay. Burns never thought to turn poet till he got heartily in love. Rhyme and song were in a manner the spontaneous language of his heart. Now on to his personal life. His father died in 1785, and he goes on to say that some of the serving people were waiting at the funeral reception, and one of them, a sonsy lass, translation of buxom lass, called Bess Peyton, put her arms around me and comforted me in the only way she knew, showing me the passion that is in compassion. So that in due time, she gave birth to a misbegotten child, who gave me the first entitlement to the venerable name of father. I was glad my own was dead. Of course, my mother was determined I should marry her, but I was not. I did not love her. So much did I respect marriage, but my mother didn't understand. She brought me the object of my shame, the proof of my sin, but all I could see in the bed was a helpless wee baby, snug in my mother's arms. The moral here is, don't get over emotional at funeral receptions. After Bess Peyton's baby was born, Burns wrote, "Welcome, my bonny, sweet wee daughter. Though you come here a wee unsought for, and though your coming I have fought for, both kirk and choir. Yet, by my faith you're no one wrought for, that I shall swear. Lord, grant that thou may inherit thy mother's person, grace and merit, and the poor worthless daddy's spirit without his failings." It's a really warm poem. As a consequence of this misadventure, Burns was fined a guinea by the church. He was sentenced to sit on the stool of repentance in the church. He subsequently paid Bess £20 in what is described as restitution, and he wrote a lovely poem called Love Begotten Daughter. This was basically the start of Burns' colourful, I'm calling it colourful social life. Others might have more less pleasant adjectives to divide and define his social life. Burns met Jean Armour, who was eventually his wife, in 1784. They met at a wedding when his dog jumped between them in the set. Jean was much put out, and Burns said, "I could only say I wish I could find a lassie who would love me as well as my dog did." She blushed and said nothing, but from that moment, from being in love with all women, Burns was now, and for the very first time, in love with him, and she with him. Burns was 25, and she was 17. Their mutual attraction led to Jean becoming pregnant, but Jean's parents were hostile to Burns on account of his affair, and baby with Bess Peyton, and obviously with Jean's pregnancy. They sent her off to Paisley, a move which was interpreted by Burns as a desertion. They eventually married in 1788, and looking back, they had 2 sets of twins, 1786, 1788. Altogether, Jean had 9 children in 10 years. Hey, that's good going. In total, he fathered 13 children to 5 women, and the last child was born on his funeral day. After feeling deserted by Jean, Burns found his next love. Her name was Mary Campbell. I'm calling it Burns on the rebound. Mary Campbell was a nursemaid and dairymaid nearby. She was nearer in age to Burns at age 21, tall, with fair hair and blue eyes. Coming from Dunoon in Argyll, Burns called her his Highland Mary. There's a statue of her with Robert Burns in Beacon Hill Park. It's just over from the petting zoo. I don't know whether that's coincidence or what. It's only light petting though. He wrote, "My Highland lassie was a warm-hearted, charming young creature, as ever blessed a man with generous love." He planned to sail to Jamaica with Mary. They exchanged Bibles and possibly matrimonial vows, but she died either in childbirth or as a result of typhus at Greenock. He continued to write about her for many years after her death, suggesting that she of all his lassies was the love of his life, notwithstanding the fact that, 5 minutes ago in my speech, I said that Jean Armour was the love of his life. After that event, Burns met a second Mary. Her name was Mary Morrison. This was after Mary died in 1786. He was greatly enamoured by her and wrote one of his finest early songs. "O Mary, at thy window be, it is the wished, the trysted hour. Those smiles and glances let me see, that make the miser's treasure poor. O Mary, canst thou wreck this peace, or for the sake would gladly die? Or canst thou break that heart of his, whose only fault is loving thee?" John Kearney writes, her name was Begbie actually, but try making a rhyme out of a name like that. "So Morrison she became, and as such, turned him down as a suitor, since he was only a poor farmer's son. He was mortified by the repulse, but later, in a flag of truce, she told him her fortress had already been taken. And soon afterwards, she married another farmer's son, half an inch higher in the social league. Unfortunately, going forward, she died of tuberculosis at age 20. How tragic is that? Going forward, 1784 was what I've called Burns' Annus Mirabilis, as opposed to the Queen's Annus Horribilis. And the Annus Mirabilis occurred in that 1784, and this year he started composing lots of poetry, and this led to his first publication called the Kilmarnock edition. And the title of the book was Poems Chiefly in the Scottish Dialect. This netted him a total of £20, which wasn't much. And it should be noted that Burns died a very poor man, even having to borrow money to settle his final debts. The Kilmarnock edition was so successful that he was encouraged to go for a second edition in Edinburgh in 1786. This may be the first example of crowdfunding. He got some people to put money in towards this book. He very quickly became known by leading people in fashion, literature, and social rank. They were surprised at his brilliant conversational powers, his wit, and literary knowledge. Burns really loved the women, and he was loved in return by them. His many amorous exploits fired his poetry and songwriting, and his poetic fame spread throughout the nation. In 1794, he wrote one of my favourite songs, "My love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love's like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair thou art, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gang dry." The finale this evening will conclude by singing Auld Lang Syne, which is amongst the top 3 most widely sung melodies in the world, besides Happy Birthday and For He's a Jolly Good Fellow. The lyrics of Auld Lang Syne are in the Scots language. The title, translated literally into standard English, is Old Long Since, or Since Long Ago, or For Old Time's Sake. For those who might appreciate a translation of Burns' all-time hit, Auld Lang Syne, here we have it. It's called The Days of Yore. Should we forget our former friends by whom we set great store? Should we forget the friends we've met and the brave days of yore? And the chorus goes, the days of yore, my dear, the days of yore, we'll tilt the jug and drain the mug to the brave days of yore. And now I invite you, if you are still able, to stand with me to propose a toast to the immortal memory of Robert Burns. The immortal memory, Robert Burns. Thank you.
Ken just told me he cut 4 pages out of it for me because he knows I'm trying to keep it going. That was an excellent discussion, immortal memory. So big round of applause, Dr. Ken Wilson. Excellent speaker. I'd like to now invite drummer Dan Huang to give the toast to the lassies.
Good evening. That's a hard act to follow. I hope you're all having a great time tonight so far. Many thanks to the organizers, the caterer, and especially to all of you attending tonight and supporting the pipe band. My name is Dan Wong, and I'm a new snare drummer in the band. This is my first time performing again at a Burns night in almost 15 years, since moving here from Kelowna in 2011, where I played lead tip in the Kelowna Pipe Band for over a decade before that. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone at the Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band for welcoming me into the Pipe Band family, and for giving us newbies a job to do at our inaugural Burns dinner. Somehow I don't recall reading that in the fine print when we all signed up. So many of you may be wondering to yourselves, how is this Chinese Canadian kid from Saskatoon get so deeply entrenched into this wonderful world of tartan wearing, whiskey drinking, haggis eating, caber tossing, Highland dancing, and piping and drumming? Well, to put it in one word, it was a lassie. Her name was Alison Flack. Her granddad was John Mowat, a fine gentleman from Edinburgh. I'm looking forward to hearing Alison's reply to this toast, I think. We met some 35 years ago at university in Vancouver, and in the words of the famous bard in I Fond Kiss, to see her is to love her, and love but her forever. For nature made her what she is, and never made another. But could there have been another? I will never forget the experience of attending my first Burns supper when Alison was playing with the Vancouver Ladies Pipe Band at the time. An entire pipe band filled with lassies, you say? Oh, indeed, Burns would have wholeheartedly approved. Had there been a woman in that room that night by the name of Agnes, or Nancy, or Clarinda, the verse that I just read from I Fond Kiss would have been most appropriate. Perhaps there was someone in the pipe band named Mary, in which case I could have quipped, the trumpets sound, the banners fly, the glittering spears are ranked ready, the shouts of war are heard afar, the battle closes thick and bloody. But it's no the roar of sea or shore wad make me languor, wish to tarry, nor shout of war that's heard afar, it's leaving thee, my bonny Mary. Perhaps if the bartender that evening was named Anna, then I might have impressed her with my best rendition of this Burns poem. Yestreen I had a pint of wine, a place where bodies saw now. Yestreen lay on this breast of mine, the gowden locks of Anna. She is the sunshine of my eye to live, but her I canna. Had I on earth but wishes 3, the first should be my Anna. But alas, there was only one true love of my life, and that of Robert Burns himself, as he wrote many works to his one, maybe 2, and only Jean Armour, including perhaps the most famous, which we just heard, "My love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like the melody that sweetly played in tune." However, as is shown true in all relationships throughout history, it's not all roses. One can only imagine the scenes that led to Robbie writing these lines in Tam O'Shanter. "O gentle dames, it gars me greet, to think how many counsels sweet, how many lengthen sage advices, the husband from the wife despises." As Burns himself observed, a woman can make an average man great, and a great man average. I'm not sure which one Allison will say I am, so we'll hear about that. I sincerely hope that we can all think of someone in our lives that has loved us, nurtured us, infuriated us, forgiven us, and most importantly, has been there for us. And to all the lassies in this room, and maybe to one in particular, I'll leave you with the following. She has my heart, she has my hand, by secret truth and honor's band, till the mortal stroke shall lay me low. I'm thine, my Highland lassie, oh. So if I may ask all the gentlemen here present to please be upstanding, raise your glasses, and give a toast to the lassies.
I think that was a really good inaugural performance from drummer Dan. How about a round of applause? And now I'd like to invite Piper Allison Flack, his wife, to give the reply to the toast to the lassies. See how this goes.
Thank you, Dan, for those lovely words. When Dan and I were voluntold by Colin McGee that we, as newcomers to the band, would be giving the respective toast to the lassies and the reply, no problem, we said. We've attended many, many Burns dinners over the years and heard many toasts and speeches. We've even enjoyed a few of them. Before I get properly started on the reply, I want to give you a little story about the last time I was called upon to speak at a Burns evening. Quite a number of years ago, when one of our dancers who is going to be performing for you tonight was a wee toddler. I was his exhausted mother, juggling way too many balls in the air at the time, arrived at the Burns dinner, realized when I saw my name in the program that I had completely forgotten I was on the agenda. I had to ad-lib on the spot and managed to blurt out a good 5 minutes worth of hopefully entertaining, the audience laughed, and meaningful, they clapped when I was finished, sentiment. Not to worry though, this time I actually sat down and put pen to paper, fingers to keyboard, ahead of time, i.e. yesterday. You see, life has a way of getting in the way. In the words of Robbie himself, the best laid schemes of mice and men gang after lie. Nonetheless, in spite of my procrastination, I hope I can manage to stir some thoughtful reflection about what Dan has had to say about us lassies, and to rightfully express my appreciation for the laddies in my life, especially Dan, and our 2 boys, Alex and Aidan. Burns was an egalitarian and progressive, not only with regard to his view of his fellow man, the plight of common people, slavery, nationalism, nature, and politics. He also wrote of the rights of women. While Europe's eye is fixed on mighty things, the fate of empires and the fall of kings, while quacks of state must each produce his plan, and even children lisp the rights of man. Amid this fuss, just let me mention, the rights of women merit some attention. These words were written in 1792 by Burns, and the poem goes on to elaborate on those rights as being protection, decorum, and admiration. And he's actually urging those in power at the time to consider a more feminine approach. Read sympathetic, delicate, more passive to governance. Not exactly earth-shattering ideas by today's thinking, but in the context of the late 18th century, Burns gives voice with this and so many of his other words to sincerely egalitarian opinions that were indeed enlightened for their time. Burns wrote so many poems and songs addressing the women in his life, as we heard in The Immortal Memory. He surely loved the lasses. One of my favorites is a poem he wrote to his wife, Jean. It isna, Jean, thy bonny face nor shape that I admire, although thy beauty and thy grace might will awake desire. Something in ilka part of thee to praise, to love I find, but dear as is thy form to me, still dearer is thy mind. Now let me tell you, it's sentiments like those that will really get a lass's heart going. I'd like to finish off with a thought, of course, for the laddies of today's particularly fractious times. We lads and lassies do well to be mindful of Burns's words, and in particular of this verse. Then let us pray that come it may, as come it will for all that sense and worth o'er all the earth shall bear the gree and all that. For all that and all that, it's coming yet for all that man to man the world o'er shall brothers be for all that. Credit goes to the laddies who live this verse every day and who support, respect, and encourage us lassies in our lives. Thank you. It's with that in mind that I ask everyone to please join me in a toast for the special laddies in your lives. Please be upstanding. To the laddies. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison and Dan. Well done. You're now no longer rookies, and we can give you bigger jobs next year. So, is everybody ready to hear the pipe band? There they are, waiting at the door. So how about we invite them in? Big round of applause. Here is the Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band. Another round of applause for the Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band. We'll be back later on in the program. You can see they're all wearing their #1 formal dress with feather bonnets and belts and plaids. It's very hot, so they're going to change into their day dress, which I'm wearing, so they'll be much more comfortable next go around. So we're now going to introduce the Highland Dancers. They've been waiting patiently. This is the Bon Accord Highland Dancers, biggest school in Victoria. They've been around since the 70s under the leadership of Lynn Griffiths. Lynn was born in Aberdeen, and the motto of Aberdeen is Bon Accord, so she named the dancers after that. We're very fortunate. We have some really top dancers in this group, all of them actually. So Piper Jamie Troy is going to lead them in. So how about a big warm welcome for the Bon Accord dancers. So many of the dancers here tonight have performed in tattoos around the world. They're all competitive dancers. They've won various championships all over North America and in Europe. Of course, we have a fabulous piper here. If you don't know, this is James Troy, and he's one of the top pipers in North America, in the world. He's won many of the top awards, and we're fortunate to have him again tonight piping for the dancers. So our first dancer has represented British Columbia numerous times in the Canadian Championship Series and has received many awards. Here's Nicola performing the traditional sword dance. Pretty darn good. So the next one, that was a Highland dance with the kilt. The next dance will be a Scottish national dance, Blue Bonnets O'er the Border by Sierra, Alyssa, Julia, and Genevieve. The Royal Scottish Official Board of Highland Dancing does recognize a dance called the Irish Jig, but this is the Scottish version. So please welcome Alex and Grace. So the next dance is a reel called a Strathspey in half tulloch. When dancing in competition, it is performed with 4 dancers, and the group decided to add a few. So it's Meg, Nicola, Elaine, Emma, Erin, and Abby. So this next tune was composed by the Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band's own Drum Sergeant Colin McGee to honor Lynn's dance teacher, Mrs. Adeline Duncan. This is a hornpipe, and the dancers always enjoy showing the actions of a sailor working on the ship in this lively music. So here is Sarah and Mia. Okay, we're going to invite all the dancers back for Mass Highland Flings, but we're going to give the hornpiper dancers just 30 seconds to recover. Otherwise, I have to stand in the back, not move. Very tough dance to do. I remember my daughter used to do one of her favorites, and she tried to get me to do it. Not a chance. So I'm looking at the back. Any of the pipe band, is the pipe band getting ready to form up? No, they say no. Must be that damn tuning again, darn tuning again. So I think they've had their breathers, so we'll invite all the dancers back on the stage for the Mass Highland Fling. Okay, a fabulous show by the Bon Accord Highland Dancers, and now they'll leave, piped out by Jamie Troy. So another round of applause. Thank you, dancers. Always the biggest gap in this event, Burns Dinner, is the pipe band coming out for the second time. They need to change and then tune up. So there may be a little gap after the next speaker. You can, theoretically, the silent auction has been cut off, but we'll see. But you can get a drink. I'll go down and make sure the band comes out as soon as possible. But Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band is pleased to be associated with all the police services in Greater Victoria, and it's my pleasure to invite Chief Constable Dean Duthie from the Saanich Police Department to give the Chief Constable toast.
Thank you very much, everybody, and it's so good to see you all here again. This sold-out building representing this important day for the band and, of course, Robbie Burns. Before I start, I just want to take a second to say a big thank you to Jim Maxwell for the outstanding job that he's doing as the MC. Good evening and welcome. As always, it's so good to see so many familiar faces at this really important traditional event. It truly represents community. For us to gather together, to reconnect, share a meal, and enjoy the sweet sounds of pipes and drums as we celebrate the birthday of Robbie Burns. For those of you who are joining for the first time, sincere welcome and thank you for your support. Again, my name is Dean Duthie. I currently serve as the Chief Constable of the Saanich Police Department, and it is my sincere honor to serve and represent the Greater Victoria Area Police Chiefs and RCMP commanders as an executive member to the Police Pipe Band. As you may know, this year marks the 25th anniversary of the Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band. Over the past 25 years, the band has evolved and progressed in many vital ways. That said, their resilience, coupled with their commitment, passion, and dedication to community support and well-being, has continued to thrive and make a true difference as they attend and perform at countless private and public events and competitions each and every year. I am excited to announce that the band is increasing their membership with the addition of 3 new pipers and 3 new drummers, as well as a new international member. These additions showcase the focus and attention that the band dedicates to succession and tradition. I would like to also acknowledge and recognize 3 band members who have recently retired from the band or have joined the associate members list. They include David McIntosh, Rob McIntosh, and Alicia Fells. The band is comprised of disciplined, talented musicians who come together each and every week, hundreds of hours a year, not only to practice and continuously improve their musicianship and fine skills, but they also come together in friendship, camaraderie, and service. Tonight's special event that brings us all together to celebrate, honor, and recognize the immortal talents and poetry and verses of Scotland's national bard, Robbie Burns, is only made possible through the time and effort and commitment of Pipe Major Warren Fells, the band executive, and every single band member, as well as their family members. Thank you all for your planning, organizing, coordinating, and leadership. This vibrant group of musicians brings together serving police officers, retired police officers, family of police officers, and dedicated, service-oriented people of our surrounding communities. Just a quick snapshot of what they accomplished in 2024. They performed at 16 special events, including parades, ceremonies, memorials, police reserve, and student graduations. In 2024, they attended numerous competitions, and they made some notable achievements and awards, similar to every year, as we know. In May, they attended the Victoria Highland Games competition and finished first place in both days. In June of 2024, they attended the BC Highland Games in Vancouver and placed first in 2 events. And before we toast the band, I'd like to personally express my gratitude to 2 groups. Firstly, the executive members, who I am honored to work with, for their leadership, stewardship, and inspiration. This includes Pipe Major Warren Fells, Lead Drummer Mr. Colin McGee, Pipe Sergeant Mr. David Hennigan, Mr. James Troy, Mr. Charlie Bates, and Mr. Jim Maxwell. Thank you. And secondly, as I look out here, I recognize a lot of faces that I work with or I have worked with, and I'd like to really thank all the actively serving and retired police officers who are here tonight. Thank you for your service, your care, and your courage. We've been standing up and down all night, so I'm going to say stay seated, but please, I want to hear your voices as we toast to the band. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Constable Duffy. And look what's happened. The band's there at the door. Perfect timing. So it's my pleasure to once again announce the Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band. For centuries, a lone piper has been a feature of Scottish military ceremonies. In Scottish units, a lone piper signals the day's end to the troops. It has also become part of the closing ceremonies of military tattoos around the world. Piper Paul Month will play Lights Out for us tonight. Piper Dave Hennigan will now play Amazing Grace. such an emotional song. Always get tears when I hear that one. So in a moment, going to ask you to stand to sing Auld Lang Syne. It's one of the most popular tunes in the world, written by Robert Burns in 1788, and I think we've all sung it on New Year's Eve a few times. So it's going to be sung as a farewell song for tonight's Burns dinner. And following the song, the pipe band will play off, and our evening will be over. Yes, I know. It's always next year. And the Gay Gordons. So I think it's our bass drummer.
Old acquaintance be forgot and
Stand up, everyone.
my he forgot for Auld Lang Syne, for Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll drink a cup of kindness set for Auld Lang Syne.
So everyone should cross their arms. Remember the drill. Cross your arms in a circle. Greater Victoria Police Pipe Band, thank you for attending. Have a safe journey home and look forward to seeing you next year. Good night.